Dear viewers, the following stories are inspired by real events. However, the names of the characters have been changed to protect privacy. Story 1. White figure on the snowy mountain. Breckenridge Ski Resort, Colorado. Winter 2018. A sunny and freezing Saturday brought together a group of 4 close friends. Jake, whose real name is Ethan Bell. A passionate skier, Emily, whose real name is Olivia Davis. Jake's girlfriend, an energetic and adventurous girl, Chris, whose real name is Noah Wilson. A humorous and always optimistic guy, and Megan, whose real name is Sophia Brown. A quiet and somewhat timid person. They had arrived at the famous Breckenridge Ski Resort in Colorado, eagerly preparing for a day of exciting skiing. None of them suspected that this trip would turn into a terrifying memory that would haunt them for the rest of their lives. After renting their ski gear and buying lift tickets, the group quickly ascended to the mountaintop. Looking down from above, the snow-covered slopes stretched as far as the eye could see. A majestic scene that made everyone marvel. Jake excitedly attached his GoPro action camera to his helmet, wanting to capture every wonderful moment. Emily also took out her phone to take photos and videos. They began skiing down the gentle slopes. The sound of their skis cutting through the wind was exhilarating. Jake, with his skillful skiing, quickly took the lead. Emily and Chris followed closely behind, while Megan skied a bit slower, cautiously keeping her distance. Their laughter echoed in the vast expanse of the snowy mountains, creating a lively and joyful atmosphere. As they were skiing down a fairly deserted slope, Jake suddenly stopped and pointed into the distance. "Look there, everyone." The group stopped and looked in the direction Jake was pointing. At the end of the slope, near the tree line, they saw a white figure standing silently among the trees. The figure was unusually tall and seemed to lack any clear features. Just a blurry white mass. Chris, with his curious nature, said, "It's probably just someone wearing a white ski suit. What's so strange about that?" But Emily felt that something was wrong. She said with a slightly trembling voice, "But it looks really weird. Not like a normal person at all." Megan remained silent, feeling an unusual coldness spreading around them, even though the sun was shining. Jake decided to film the strange sight with his GoPro. He slowly skied towards the white figure, and the others cautiously followed. As they got closer, they realized that the figure wasn't moving at all. It remained as still as a statue. And even though they were quite close, they still couldn't make out any details. Only a tall, completely white shape. Suddenly, the white figure slowly turned its head, and although they couldn't see a face, the whole group felt a cold and terrifying gaze directed towards them. A strong gust of wind suddenly blew through, carrying a strange whistling sound. The surrounding trees shook violently. Even though there was no sign of a blizzard, fear gripped the entire group. Without a word, they all turned and fled, skiing down the mountain as fast as they could. Jake tried to keep his GoPro camera steady, recording the entire terrifying scene that had just unfolded. The sound of their panting breaths and skis on the snow echoed chaotically. They just wanted to get away from this frightening place as quickly as possible. Breckenridge Ski Resort, Colorado. That night and the following days, 2018, after safely skiing down to the base of the mountain, the group was still in shock. They sat down in the resort's cafe, trying to calm down and discuss what had just happened. Emily kept reviewing the photos and videos she had taken, but there was nothing unusual. Only images of the snowy mountains and the joyful moments from earlier. Jake decided to review the video recorded by the GoPro on his helmet. He connected the camera to his laptop and opened the footage. Initially, everything was normal, showing the fun skiing and the beautiful natural scenery. But when they reached the part where they saw the white figure, the atmosphere in the room became tense. On the screen, the white figure appeared, still standing silently among the trees. As Jake and the others got closer, the image became clearer, and they could clearly see that it wasn't a person wearing a white ski suit. The figure was lanky and tall, without any clear body details, and it seemed translucent, like a ghost. When the moment came when the figure turned its head, a pale white face appeared on the screen, without eyes, nose, or mouth, just a terrifying void. But the most horrifying thing was that, just before the strong wind blew through, the camera captured a very quick movement of the figure. It raised a long, thin arm towards Jake, as if trying to touch him. All four of them were horrified as they watched this part. Emily screamed and hugged Jake tightly. Chris turned pale, and Megan trembled without saying a word. Jake stopped the video. He couldn't believe what he had just seen. The footage clearly recorded a supernatural phenomenon, something he had never believed in before. They decided to report the incident to the resort staff, but all they received was skepticism and scientific explanations. No one believed their story, suggesting they had missing or imagined things. Feeling helpless and scared, the group decided to leave Breckenridge that very night. In the following days, Jake posted the video on an online forum about strange phenomena. Initially, many people thought it was just a staged act or a technical glitch. But there were also many who believed that the footage had captured evidence of the existence of a supernatural force. Their story quickly spread on social media, attracting the attention of many curious individuals and paranormal researchers. Even now, Jake and his friends can't forget that terrifying day on the snowy mountain in Breckenridge. They still occasionally watch the video, and every time they do, they feel a cold fear spread through their bodies. They never found out what that white figure was, and why it appeared there. But they know one thing for sure: there are mysteries that go beyond human understanding. And sometimes, we inadvertently encounter things that are best left undisturbed. Story 2. The Howl in the White Night. Alyeska Ski Resort, Alaska. Winter 2021. 3 close friends. Liam, whose real name is Caleb Johnson. An adventurous snowboarder. Maya, whose real name is Isabella Rodriguez. A travel and sports vlogger who always carried her camera to capture every moment. And Noah, whose real name is Samuel Davis. A landscape photographer drawn to the raw beauty of Alaska, decided to take a ski trip to the famous Alyeska Ski Resort. Nestled deep in the rugged Chugach Mountains of Alaska, they were excited to explore the snow-covered slopes and enjoy the majestic beauty of nature. Unaware that the isolation and beauty held an unimaginable horror, after settling into a small cabin located far from the main resort, the group began their first day on the slopes. Liam, with his specialized snowboard, quickly conquered the challenging terrain. Maya constantly filmed with her handheld camera, capturing impressive performances and the stunning scenery around them. Noah frequently stopped to take breathtaking landscape photos. The atmosphere was filled with laughter and excitement. Towards the end of the day, as the sun began to set below the horizon, painting the sky and mountains with vibrant shades of orange and pink, the group decided to take one last run down a less crowded slope. Liam wanted to challenge himself with a steeper and narrower section of terrain. Maya continued filming, wanting to capture the beautiful sunset against the backdrop of white snow. As they skied down, silence enveloped the space, broken only by the sound of their skis cutting through the wind and their soft breaths. Suddenly, a strange howl echoed from the dense forest beside the slope. The howl was shrill, drawn out, and had a chilling tone, unlike the howl of any animal they had ever heard. The three of them stopped, looking at each other in bewilderment. Noah whispered, "What was that?" It sounded terrifying. Maya, still holding her camera, pointed the lens towards the forest, trying to record the strange sound. Liam, with his years of experience in the mountains, frowned and said, "I've never heard a howl like that in Alaska before. It's not a wolf, and it's not a bear." They decided to continue skiing down, trying to ignore the strange howl. But the sound seemed to follow them, echoing intermittently, sometimes close, sometimes far, making the atmosphere tense and uneasy. Maya felt an unusual coldness spreading around them, even though she was wearing many layers of warm clothing. As they neared the bottom of the slope, the howl suddenly became louder and clearer, as if someone was standing right behind them and screaming. Liam startled and turned around, but saw nothing but rows of snow-covered trees. Maya inadvertently captured a strange image on her camera screen, a dark figure flashing quickly through the trees, moving at an impossible speed. Fear reached its peak. The three of them no longer thought about skiing. They rushed towards the cabin, the howl continuing to echo after them, like an invisible threat. When they reached the cabin, they quickly locked the door and drew the window curtains, trying to escape the terrifying sound reverberating from the forest. Alyeska Ski Resort, Alaska. That night and the following days, 2021, that night, none of the friends dared to sleep. The strange howl still echoed occasionally from the forest, making the atmosphere in the cabin suffocating and tense. Maya reviewed the video she had recorded, and they analyzed the image of the dark figure flashing through the trees together. They all agreed that it was not a normal animal. Noah, with his knowledge of Alaskan wildlife, tried to find information online about animals that could make a similar howling sound. But without success. All they found were local folklore stories about a mythical creature living in the Chugach Mountains, known by the locals as the Whistler. The next morning, despite still being very scared, the group decided to go skiing for one more day as planned. They chose slopes closer to the main resort and with more people around, trying to stay away from the forest where they had heard the terrifying howl the night before. Maya still carried her camera, but this time she was more careful and constantly listened to the sounds around her. In the afternoon, while they were resting at a small eatery on the mountain, an older skier sitting at the next table overheard their conversation about the strange howl. He said slowly, "So, you heard the sound of the Whistler? I've heard it a few times myself. People say it's the spirit of miners who died in accidents a long time ago." The old man's story sent shivers down their spines. They asked him more about the Whistler, and he recounted that the creature often appeared on cold and foggy days. Its howl was a warning, or perhaps an invitation to the afterlife. He advised them to be careful and that it would be best if they left the area. Heeding the old man's advice, the group decided to end their ski trip earlier than planned. They quickly packed their belongings and prepared to leave the cabin. While loading their gear into the car, Maya accidentally dropped her camera in the snow. When she picked it up, she noticed something strange. On the camera screen, a blurry image appeared of a tall figure standing at the edge of the forest, where they had first heard the howl. The image only appeared for a moment and then disappeared. But Maya had managed to clearly see the figure's face, a pale white face with deep black eyes and a terrifying smirk. She screamed in horror and quickly showed the video to everyone. They were all horrified to realize that they had truly encountered something beyond their understanding. None of them dared to stay for another second. They quickly drove away from the Alyeska ski resort, leaving behind the snow-covered mountains and the chilling howl that still echoed in their minds. The video that Maya had inadvertently captured became a terrifying piece of evidence of a supernatural phenomenon. A reminder of the frightening mysteries that still exist in the wild and cold lands of Alaska. And they would never forget that horrifying ski trip. Story 3. The Shadow on the Empty Slope. 3 college friends. Ben, whose real name is Michael Clark, an avid extreme skier always seeking new challenges. Sarah, whose real name is Jessica White, Ben's girlfriend, a good but more cautious skier. And Kevin, whose real name is Christopher Green, a film enthusiast who always carried his camera to document their trips. Chose Powder Mountain Ski Resort in Utah for their winter vacation. Known for its pristine, uncrowded slopes, they looked forward to amazing skiing experiences and capturing impressive footage. The first day was perfect. With light snowfall and bright sunshine, all 3 were excited to ski down the well-groomed slopes. Kevin attached his action camera to his helmet, recording Ben's spectacular flips and downhill runs. Sarah enjoyed the smooth glides on the soft, powdery snow. Their laughter echoed in the quiet expanse of the mountain forest. In the afternoon, as most visitors had returned to the resort, Ben suggested exploring a lesser-known ski area on the far side of the mountain. He had heard that it had deep snow and steep sections ideal for extreme performances. Sarah was a bit worried because the area was quite deserted, but Kevin was very enthusiastic about the idea. He wanted to capture unique footage in a wild setting. As they ventured deeper into the deserted ski area, the atmosphere became quieter. Tall pine trees covered in snow stood silently like sentinels. Ben began performing skillful jumps and spins, Kevin constantly filming, trying to capture every impressive moment. Sarah skied behind, carefully observing her surroundings. She felt an eerie stillness enveloping the place. Suddenly, as Ben was preparing for a big jump, Sarah saw something strange above him. On the top of a high snowdrift, she saw a figure standing silently. The figure was tall and thin, wearing all black, starkly contrasting against the white snow. What was strange was that there were no footprints around the figure, as if it had just appeared out of nowhere. Sarah quickly called out to Ben and Kevin, pointing towards the strange figure. "Look there, someone's standing up there." Both of them stopped and looked in the direction Sarah was pointing. They also saw the tall, thin figure in black, standing motionless on top of the snowdrift. Kevin quickly aimed his camera at it and zoomed in, but upon closer inspection, they couldn't make out any features of the figure. It was just a solid black mass, without a face or clear shape. Ben felt a strange unease. He said, "That looks really weird, not like a normal skier at all." Sarah shivered and added, "And there are no footprints, it's like it's floating." Kevin continued filming, feeling that something was wrong and wanting to record everything. Suddenly, the figure in black slowly raised one arm, pointing towards Ben's group. The movement was slow and eerie. Just as the arm pointed directly at them, a sudden, piercingly cold gust of wind blew through, carrying a strange whistling sound. Snow swirled violently around them, obscuring their vision. When the wind subsided, the figure in black had vanished, leaving no trace behind. Powder Mountain Ski Resort, Utah. That night and the following days. 2015. After experiencing the terrifying moment on the deserted slope, Ben, Sarah, and Kevin quickly skied down the mountain. They didn't speak to each other, but each of them felt an indescribable fear. Back at the cabin, Kevin immediately reviewed the footage he had recorded, hoping to find some clue about the strange figure. Upon reviewing the footage, they clearly saw the image of the figure in black standing on the snowdrift, and the eerie movement as it raised its arm towards them. But the most terrifying thing was that, in a few frames before the figure disappeared, the camera captured a fleeting glimpse of its face, a pale white face, without eyes, nose, or mouth, just distorted and frightening features. Sarah almost vomited when she saw the face. She said with a trembling voice, What was that? It looked horrifying." Ben also felt a chill down his spine. He had never seen anything so terrifying. Kevin remained silent, feeling that this footage could be evidence of something supernatural. They decided to show the footage to others, including resort staff and a few other visitors. Initially, many were skeptical, suggesting it was just a prank or a strange lighting effect. But upon closer examination of the video, a few people became worried. They said they had heard similar stories about a ghost appearing on the deserted slopes of Powder Mountain. An older ski patrol member told them local legends about a man who had died in a skiing accident many years ago. This person was said to still haunt the deserted ski area, searching for lost skiers. He mentioned that sometimes people saw a black shadow lingering on the hills, and it could be the spirit of that unfortunate man. Hearing these chilling stories, all three of them felt extremely uneasy. They decided not to ski in the deserted area anymore and always stayed together. Kevin continued filming during the remaining days of their trip, but nothing unusual happened again. However, the fear and the image of the figure in black haunted them. After returning home, Kevin uploaded the footage online, and it quickly attracted a lot of attention. Many people believed it was evidence of a supernatural phenomenon, while others tried to find rational explanations. The video caused much debate and became a hot topic on online forums about the paranormal. Ben, Sarah, and Kevin never forgot their terrifying experience at Powder Mountain. They still occasionally watch the video, and each time they do, they feel a cold fear spread through them. They never found out who or what the figure in black was, but they knew for sure that in the wild and silent mountains, there are still mysteries that humans cannot explain. If you want to hear more true horror stories, don't forget to subscribe to my channel.